Hey people, Ricky here, and you'll never guess what I got in store for you today. Masculine furries, or by its other name, werewolves. Now, I have to say, before I continue, that when we were first given the assignment, I was feeling pretty good about it, until I found out that the monster I got was just a big furry. If you have never heard about werewolves, let me explain. First, think about the Hulk. You know how he gets big when he gets angry? Well, werewolves are like that, except he is a resident of LA and plays VR chat. And instead of turning into a big naked man when they get angry, they turn into big furry creatures when there is a full moon. Now, you may be thinking how I managed to research such an elusive creature as the werewolf. Well, first I needed to capture one, so I went on the internet and booked a flight to LA and the convention. You can guess what kind of convention. I landed in LA and got myself a van and a tranquilizer gun and went to the convention. When I got there, the building was full of furry creatures, and from the start, I knew that this was it. I waited until there was an opening where one of them would lower their guard and go out of their pack. And I found one. He went into a room, which I could only imagine what horrors waited me there, and the only information I had was the name, WC. What could wait for me there, only time would tell. I went in, shot him in the back. Then I convinced a janitor to walk in and snapped his neck. I took his card, which had a big bag filled to the brim with bad-smelling rags, and threw them both in and took his uniform. Then I got out of the building, put them both in the van, and got the hell out of there. The creature had a name tag on him, and I concluded that his name was Jerry. I took him to a storage unit that I had rented out beforehand and tied him to a table. After some rest from this heroic adventure for science, I gave the creature a dose of morphine to reassure he would sleep longer, and began a research about werewolves on the internet. There I learned that the word werewolf comes from the older English word that is typed down exactly the same, werewolf, which translates to man-wolf, and after an execution of a suspected werewolf in Germany, there was a huge spike of werewolf hunts in German and French-speaking Europe. There have been other stories about werewolves in other countries, like in India, where they were werewolves-like creatures that had to protect forests. In most werewolf cultures, if you got scratched or bitten and survived, you would become a werewolf. After researching about werewolves, I bought myself a bomb diffuser suit for protection and a sawed-off shotgun for defense. I got in my bomb diffuser suit and readied my shotgun and was ready to investigate the werewolf body. I started by fiddling around with his body, and when I touched his face, his head moved and I got interested. I managed to take off his head and confirmed that it was a werewolf because there was a human head under it, and he stank. I waited for him to wake up to test further, and meanwhile I transported him back home, tied him to a pole, and then he finally woke up. He tried to speak to me in some mythical language, but I did not understand him. What it sounded like was, "Vem fan du? Din kuk over fan det ja." After that, I didn't find anything interesting, but I'm trying to decipher his words, although poorly. He is now my pet, and when I'm bored I like to throw balls at him because he has an insanely fast reaction to bite on them and to catch the balls with his mouth, and he's ferocious.